Welcome to Politics Personified, an IG Live series presented by the Personified Group. Our featured expert guest is State Representative Donna McLeod, who's running for Congress in Georgia's 7th District. Let's get started.
How is everybody doing?
Oh, goodness. There's just the two of us for now, but it's early. We just getting started. So how was your day, Donna?
Well, I was out canvassing today.
How many homes did you get?
I did 77.
77. Okay. Now, what's typically your goal, your daily goal during this season?
I'm trying to do between 70 and 100 doors a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I am just turning down my other device. All right, so we're good now. All right, so tell us something exciting that, thank you, Popcorn Politics, for joining us tonight as well. Tell us something exciting that happened during your canvassing experience today. I know you're probably tagging some people, but
I am.
I know I'm tagging someone's face.
Is that the face?
Because you be looking hard.
Okay.
Yeah, because you start squinting and you're like, so yes, I know that face.
So, one of the things, I 4 out of the 10 cities, the big cities that are in the 10th congressional district, I actually represent right now. So I'm actually kind of canvassing around my neighborhood, and of course everybody knows me, so it's very warm. It's very receptive, and of course, without a doubt, they'll be voting for me. And it's been great because even giving out yard signs.
I passed like 2 of them today, so I was like, "Hey, Donna."
It's funny because yard signs are really, really geared towards your supporters, and it makes them excited. And then they, definitely talk about their candidate that they're wanting to support. And so the yard signs work in that way to help, motivate your supporters to just keep on going. So, but it's been wonderful. Honestly, it's my favorite part of campaigning is canvassing. Not only is it good for keeping my weight down, yay!
Right.
So that's fantastic. But also you really get a chance to be out there in the sunshine and just be able to talk to people and just see where they're coming from, and get sometimes catch up on what's been going on in their life. One gentleman today, I was talking to him because he said, "I hadn't seen you in a while." Well, I said, we were in session. And I said, when we're in session, it's really hard for me to get out here. And he said, oh, I said, when we're in session, we have to read these bills and things move really, really fast. So I really try my best to make sure that I'm getting as much facts about each of those bills so that when I'm voting on it, I'm making a good choice on behalf of everyone. He said,
right.
Yeah, he seemed satisfied with that. And so I was happy about that.
Well, good. So as we wait for a couple of people to join us, we had a couple of them come on and come off, but that's the routine of live, right? Just tell us, you said canvassing is like your favorite part. Why is that? Kind of educate us about canvassing and the pros and the cons, because like I told you, I'm new to that world. So
when we say canvassing, what it is, and it's come a long way, because back in the the mid 2000, canvassing was about paper. Like you would have to literally print. So you'd have to take your little pointer, figure out your turf. You'd have to start at one point and try to keep your turf together so that whoever's going out and knocking on doors wouldn't be going on one street and then have to go on another street and then come back to the same street. So, it took a lot more. Now, Minivan, which is a piece of software that is used, and all you do is you cut the turf, and then you get a turf number, and you get a turf number. You enter the turf number into a minivan and pop up all the houses that you need to go and see, and you can choose how you want to canvas that area. You know, and so it's really, do you want to only canvas on the odd numbers and the even numbers? You can do that. You can also, you know, what street, what subdivision. So you can actually target more with this, and it's paperless. So that's always a great thing, because when you go paperless, obviously we're cutting down on the amount of trees that need to be chopped down.
Yeah, and then like I don't think I see a lot of the oh gosh, losing my train of thought, but the trash, you know, the debris. I don't see a lot of that. And I didn't realize that was, you know, the paper trail was cut back. And that's been helping, because, you know, like you said, back in the day, it's nothing to see the flyer on the ground.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, you know, canvassing is really where you actually go out and actually make contact with your voters to really, you know, have them say their piece about what they need from you, and you know, just get feedback, because ultimately the voter is the boss, right? And you know, most any candidate that's running really will be talking to the voters, people that can vote. It's not that they want to disrespect anyone that cannot vote, but in order to win, you have to have people that are registered voter to vote for you.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. Well, I want to just do a quick introduction. This is Politics Personified, our 5th episode, presented by the Personified Group, and we have state representative, 2-term state representative, I like to say that, Representative Donna McLeod, who is currently state representative in House 105, but she is running for Congress in Georgia's 7th district. So please stay tuned, as she is giving us nuggets about just, again, the basics of the legislation process, and then she's going to talk more about her campaign. We are just a few weeks away from early voting here in Georgia, so we want to make sure that the message is spread about your the process, about your voting rights, about what access you have, even about the candidates. And again, Donna is running for Congress, so please continue to stay logged in and make sure you tag a friend and tell them to join us, because these are some invaluable nuggets. So thank you, Donna, for giving us those one-on-one tips about canvassing, because again, I'll be completely transparent, guys. I had no idea. I showed up to canvass, tell my story real quick, last week. I showed up to the parking lot. And I was just waiting. Not just waiting, because I didn't realize that we was going to go walking.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm okay with walking. For those of you who know me, I'm okay with fitness. I just did not know, because it's been so long since I've been involved in this process on that end. So thank God I saw one of the other members of the campaign team. She's like, oh no, we took our phones and we were in the neighborhood. I was like, man, they just canceled and didn't say anything.
No, yeah, we met and then we dispersed and went into well, we call it turfs. We call it turfs. It's different turfs, and we go out there and meet the people in those turfs. What most people don't know is that most obviously the listeners out there know that most people aren't just spending their time listening to politics or what's going on in the political scene. And so you have to educate the voter. You have to be able to tell them what's going on. And so it's so very important that communication is thing. And people like to know that you extended your ask to them to vote, you know, by literally like showing up, you know. And I think, you know, my opponents have a whole lot more money than I do, and they are sending out mailers. But mailers are great to quickly make a thing, but you should always make as much effort as possible to show up at the doors of your constituents that you want to serve, and let them know why you're running and why you're the best person to be their voice.
Okay, awesome. So you're asking for the vote. You're not just assuming, you're not just making it like an obligation. You are essentially saying, listen, this is who I am, and this is why I think that you should vote for me and you should support me. So that sounds real old school, but I think it works.
And I want everybody to visit my website and just, take a listen to the video that's on it, just to know more about why I'm running for the 7th congressional district. But just take some time, explore that, the www.donnamcleod.com. And again, McLeod is spelled MCLEOD. That's MCLEOD .com. And I think it's important. I want people to really take the opportunity to, view each of the candidates and really see who's been doing the work and what the work has been about and why we're here in this space right now. And honestly, this has been some trying. The last 2 years, sorry, the last 2 years have been really trying. And so I think that people are really in tune now to understand that they have to pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I mentioned to you earlier that, hey, again, like you said, not many of us follow the day-to-day operations of politics, right? So some of the basic stuff we just don't know or understand or even remember. We all learned about government, in high school. But I asked someone, like, do you know the difference between a congressperson and a senator? And they said, no, I really don't. So can you just enlighten us?
Well, everybody that's elected into the federal government is called a congresswoman or a congressman. There's two houses. There's two division inside Congress. One is the House of Representatives with 435 members, and the other is the Senate, which is two senators. No matter the size of the state, each state has two senators. Okay. So there's a total of 535 people that represent the entire 360 plus million people in the United States. Okay. So if you look at it that way, and so they're both called. So a person in the House is called a representative as well. Like I'm called a representative, but I'm a state representative, and they're a congressional representative. So they are in Congress, so they represent federally. When we talk about House of Representatives, we're talking about the state legislators, and each state has different layers as well. So you, like I said, in each of the state, you will have city government, which you're gonna have a mayor and city council members. You're gonna have a county commissioners, and some people call it county commissioners. Some people call it CEOs. But there's a group of people that run the actual county, and then you go statewide, which is where I sit right now, is in the state legislators. In that body, we have 180 members in the House and 56 members in the Senate. So those are all state-related lawmakers. And of course, the executive branch in the state is your governor. And the governor has his own executive team as well. So, he or she will have their own executive team. So those are the layering of government. But each of us, a representative is a representative because all of us, whether you're federally or at the state, we all serve 2 years. And the whole idea is that we should be close to our constituents to make sure that our constituents are really being able to give us feedback. We're able to get down and talk to our constituent. So we're in the know about our constituent. So we are able to serve our constituents well. That's kind of the reason why they put it for 2 years. It comes by really fast. And because there's so much money in politics, people spend more of their time trying to raise money so that they can stay in the game. And so it just becomes more like a vicious cycle in some ways. But I really truly believe in service to the people, and that people deserve to have a voice, because ultimately the people are the ones that pay the taxes, and they deserve that return on their investment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you touched on something. I know a lot of us, that aren't elected officials or even ran for office, have made comments like, oh, those politicians, they have all this money. They're always asking for money. Can you kind of clear up some stereotypes about why the money is necessary and needed? Because again, you're running for office right now and you need a donation. So can you enlighten us on why that's so critical?
So for anytime you want to communicate a message to anyone, unless that person is standing in front of you, you have to figure out some way to communicate. If the person's not in front of you, you're more than likely is going to pick up a phone and call them. guess what? You have to pay for that phone for it to work,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's as simple
Yeah.
as that, right? And in order for us to be able to communicate what we are to a lot more people, and I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about 5 people. We're talking about thousands of people in a congressional district. It's almost 1 million people, 700 something plus people in a congressional district. So that's a lot of people that you need to
That's a
reach.
lot of people.
And so in order to do that, you have to be able to find methods to reach out to them and communicate what you're about. And all of it, nobody does anything for free. You know that. Anyone that's listening right now, know that nobody does anything for free, right? They want to be paid. And we're a very capitalistic country as well. So people do have businesses to cater to that kind of outreach, but they want to be paid for it because they also, it's usually the way they make a living. And so every
Right.
time you go to a vendor, they're going to want you to pay. And obviously the more you have to make of that is the more money
Yeah.
you'll have to pay. So the money is actually needed. Do we need this much money in politics? I don't think so. But
Oh,
money is needed because not only that, you have to have staff, you have to have people that are willing to help you to get the messaging out. You can't be everywhere and do everything. So you have to have people that are willing to help you to do that. And of course, people's time is money, and no one wants to work for free either. So if you look at your own life, you
right.
can see this rotation, right?
Yeah.
In order for you to have light and water, you have to pay the bills. And that's the same thing in communicating what you believe in to your constituents. You have to be able to communicate it. So you have to give them, you have to be able to find the ways to do that. Sometimes you can do a mass call, robocall. Some people get a little bit annoyed by it, but sometimes it's an effective way for a lot of people to be able to get for a candidate to be able to express themselves and get their message to you. And
Okay.
in a quick way, because everybody holds onto their phone. And so that's a
Right.
really quick way. There's texting as well. Almost everybody has a phone in their hand, so texting is really great. And of course, there's always making literature, going to people's door or mailing it out. And of course, to mail out literatures is very expensive, very, very expensive. And especially when you're looking at mailing out to, over 100,000 people, that's not cheap at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you guys heard it here. An actual elected official who's telling you, listen, we need the resources, we need the funding, but yes, for transparency, all of the millions may not be necessary. However, a plethora of money is absolutely needed because to get that message across, it can't just come across on a text. It just can't. I mean, first of all, everyone does have a cell phone, but technology has taken away from that personal touch. And then what Donna is talking about with the canvassing is that you get to see that personal touch when your candidate does that. Now, not all candidates do that, but she explained earlier in the show is that she's out there canvassing, knocking on 70 plus doors a day to make sure that her constituents have that personal touch from her, can hear her voice, can see her passion, see her dedication to the community because she is working for the people. And any other elected official, they are scheduled to work for the community as well. It's not the other way around, like she stated. But I appreciate her transparency. That is who she is. She's always going to be transparent and tell us the truth. So you very seldom do you hear an elected official share this type of information. That's why we're having this platform. That's why it's so important to tune in, every week as often as we can. We're going to do this weekly throughout the campaign to make sure that you are properly educated on the legislation process and then understand her passion and why she's running. So we're actually getting ready to turn the table to talk more about that. So again, we have new listeners every week. So I wanted Donna to share her personal story, why you started in the first place, just running for an elected official position, because you could have just been a grassroots volunteer for the rest of your life, but you decided, no, I'm going to take on more responsibility because much is given, much is required, right?
Absolutely.
So can you tell us why you decided to run? Like, what's your passion? What's your drive behind why you want to be in this position?
So, for those who have not gone to my website, you will know that I was not born here. I was born in
Mhm.
the island of Jamaica. I grew up in Ontario, Canada, and I came here. So I came here by choice. So citizenship for me is a decision I made because I think this country has some very fascinating things about the way it operates. Both of
Mhm.
the countries I came from are parliamentary style government. So the United States having three branches of government, separate and equal, is very important in independence and making sure that people get an opportunity to have their voice be heard. Obviously, this country was not formed on the premise that everyone had access, right? That's a fact. When we know that when this country on July 4th got its independence, 1776, that there were human beings on plantation who were in bondage. And so at that moment in time, we weren't living up to our ideals as a country where all men are created equal. It wasn't so. And so I think it's important for us to understand that once we are in that position to be at a table, we take that opportunity. And the reason why I ran in the first place was it wasn't necessarily that I was thinking about running for office. I had been a grassroots organizer and became a citizen in 2012. And reading more about the dynamics of this country really fascinated me. I'll say that for sure. I was really fascinated by the way the country is set up. And my colleague, Representative McLean, he convinced me to. He's not my colleague, but he wasn't my colleague. We had known each other through other me helping other candidates. Actually, I before even running for office, I was helping a lot of candidates because I wanted people that were going to be good at representing myself. I was once a constituent who wanted my voice to be heard in the way that I wanted
Right.
to be. So I worked to help get people elected that I think would be a good representation of what I find to be valuable. And so that's how I got into this. But once legislation is so powerful, right? Because
Mhm.
and I use this analogy a lot because it really kind of sinks in quicker because you know before 1865 the state of Georgia had a law that said human beings could be in bondage. That was a law. And so that's how powerful laws are. They once somebody's opinion gets at the table and it becomes law, all of us are obligated to live by that law. And so that's
Mhm.
why you want people at the table that will stand up for what you value. Um, and at the end of the day, you want to have a say in it. And that's why you choose people that you believe will give you that say. And I'm very passionate about service and
Okay.
service to others because at the end of the day, service is one of those things that is very rewarding. And you can serve in different ways. I've chosen a
Right.
legislative path, but it's a
Mhm.
path that I've chosen because I think there's so much to be done in that path, and I want to be at that table for that path. But like before I even was elected, I was in service already. I was helping nonprofit organization. I was helping candidates run for office. I was engaged in civic activities. So it wasn't like I started now. I started a long time ago.
Wow. Okay. So, someone who was not your colleague at the time, just he was an elected official,
Yes,
right?
yes, he was.
Okay. He was an elected official, and he encouraged you to take the leap and run for office,
Yes.
right? Okay. And so, since you've run for office, some of us know the story. Ran for office. I think was it 2018.
It was
Did
my
not
first time was 2016, and I
16,
just become a citizen in 2012, and I ran in
2012.
2016. So, and I ran in a district that had just been gerrymandered. That means that this was not a census year. So the last census was 2010. 2015, they decided the Republicans in the Georgia House of Representatives decided they wanted to keep as many seats as possible. 105 was looking like it was going to change into the Democratic Party hand, and they basically changed the lines. So it pushed me up into the rural parts of Gwinnett, which is Bethlehem. Oh, by the way, I love my Bethlehem constituents. They're awesome too. But it's a very rural part of the county. And I literally was going on farms in 2016. So when they changed the line, I had to go up to Bethlehem and get to know those folks up there and what they wanted. And obviously when people move into those kind of areas, they move in those areas because they want to live that kind of a certain life, right? They want to live that country life. They want to live where they have more room away from their neighbors. They're not tight,
more quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
It is not a subdivision situation. They want their space. And so I had to go up there and learn what they really wanted. And that's all involved in service to your constituent. You got to know what they want. And it's always great to have somebody who actually knows what you're facing, so they can actually act upon your behalf. And that's kind of how I started. But I actually lost that race, by the way.
Didn't vote? Was that the number?
2,100 people didn't vote. So what we did was about 5 of the crew that was part of my campaign. We continued. We actually took 2017, and we actually created a thank you campaign. We actually said thank you on it, and we canvassed all of the 2,100 people that didn't vote, and let them know I only lost by 222 votes. And your conscience know you didn't vote, right? So we kind of knew that they didn't vote, but we wanted to let them know that their vote mattered, and if they had voted, I would have probably been a winner. And so at the end of the day, they did show up in 2018, and I won by over 4,000 votes over my opponent. And then in 2020, they reelected me with almost 8,000 more votes than my opponent. So I'm very honored to serve the people in District 105, and I won't be losing them because they will be a part of the 7th Congressional District.
And that's really amazing. So you have already been serving at a local level, at the state level, which is kind of local. In this district, as an elected official, you've been serving in this district as a resident, just as a community leader. So maybe not elected official, but as a community leader, registering voters. Your nonprofit organization cannot register over 30,000 voters. This is before you became an elected official. So this is almost like full circle. You've been putting in the work for 20 years. Even as a non-citizen, you were still helping others reach that golden dream of becoming an elected official, such as Barack Obama, correct?
Yeah, if you're a person that believes in service, it's hard for you not to do service. I'm not doing it to get a position or a title. I have plenty of those, and I'm pretty proud of the ones that I do have. I'm an engineer, chemical engineer. I'm a business owner. I'm a mama. I'm a grandma. And I'm a sister. I'm an auntie. I've got lots of titles. So I'm not doing this for a title. I think it's important that if you step up in this arena to really serve others, then you have to be very cognitive of the service that you provide.
Absolutely, absolutely. And be service oriented, as you mentioned, not looking for a seat at the table, but you're looking to serve. You're looking to serve, not a seat at the table. And that's a huge difference. And I, hope that those who get a chance to replay this live understand that you do have elected officials or political candidates who are just looking for a seat at the table.
They're just looking to be elected. That is all they're thinking about, getting reelected. None of us own these seats at all, right? This is the people's seats. And so every time that you are given an opportunity to ask people for their votes, that's what you do, because that is the respect that should be shown for all voters who vote. You should always have the respect to ask them for it.
Right, absolutely. So in conclusion, we've learned about the Senate versus the Congress positions, and learned that it's all the same, whether it's at the local level or the national level. And just about, servant leadership and how important that is, and just a little bit more about Donna, about her passion, about why she's doing what she's doing, and that she's here to serve, not to have a seat at the table, but to serve. And if serving gives her a seat at the table, then so be it. But her first priority is to serve. So I want Donna to leave us with some, powerful nuggets, something that you want your constituents, because again, this is shared, nationwide, all over the state of Georgia, all over. So want to make sure that people get to hear your voice and hear your heart, why you are running and why you're the best candidate for Georgia's 7th district as the next Congresswoman.
Yeah, I didn't start yesterday trying to run for office. That's not where I started. I started trying to make sure that people understood their rights and their responsibilities. And I wanted to make sure that people felt like they're connected to their communities. As a person who wasn't born here, that's something that I felt personally. And so I wanted to make sure that anyone that was moving into any area, that they felt a sense of belonging. And so that's where I started, and working on various campaigns, especially Senator Barack Obama's campaign back in 2008, and when he became president, it was much more gratifying because I was part of that whole journey. And I think it's important that people understand that their power of the vote. I have coined a statement: knowledge is the most powerful thing you give to yourself, but the vote is the most powerful thing you give to each other. And so we determine how we actually coexist together by who we vote in to represent us and give us our voice. And so I think it's so very important that people understand their role in this process. And so that's why you need to get out there and vote. The primary starts, the season is already started because people are already turning in absentee ballot or requesting absentee ballot. So it's already started. What I will say is people need to get to vote.org or my website, www.donamccloud.com, or mvp.sos.ga.gov. Check your voter registration status. Make sure that you are still registered to vote and you weren't purged off. Make sure you check to make sure you're living in the address that you're living in now is correct. Make sure all your information is correct, and make a plan to vote. And because that exercise and that fundamental ability for most of us is such an important part in making sure that our republic and representative democracy actually thrives and survives.
Absolutely, absolutely. We appreciate your time, Representative McLeod. We appreciate those of you who are able to log in with us tonight. We will be back, maybe not next week, but we will be back. Donna is, of course, canvassing and have, various speaking engagements and so forth. But we're going to keep pushing this important agenda of why it's important to come out and vote and why it's important to vote for Donna McLeod for the next Congresswoman in Georgia 7th District. Again, this has been Politics Personified, presented by the Personified Group, and our guest expert has been State Representative Donna McLeod. Again, visit her website, sign up to donate, sign up to volunteer and donate your funds. Any dollar amount, it matters. The maximum is $2,900. But if you have $10, you have $25, it all matters. If you want to canvass, if you're here locally, definitely sign up. Come out and join her team. Spread the word. Get to know your neighbors. You just never know what type of experience you'll walk away from. So we appreciate you all for logging in. We have someone that just logged in. Thank you, Patrick, for getting ready to log off. But we appreciate everyone. So have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.